Everybody, welcome back to the One Step Better Business Podcast with Mike and with Matt. Hopefully, you all are having a great week so far. Today, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that has impacted our culture over the years. Some of the really kind of probably one of the bigger things that is currently in development within our culture. So, a little bit of background. We've been around for about 20 years. Multiple time best places to work winner, multiple time accounting today best place to work for women. And my point in saying that is we've won a lot of accolades about our culture here, and that's really cool. And it's really fun to put another thing up on the wall that says this is a great place to work. And we still have quite a few flaws and cracks within this place to work, and we're going to try to expose some of those stuff today, with the hopes of maybe you can feel a little bit of empathetic with us, a little bit of compassion for us, but also share some things that we're learning and trying to figure out along the way. So that's our goal for today.
Hey, quick heads up. We gave the One Step Better podcast its own YouTube channel at One Step Better Pod. Check out the link below and we'll see you over there. Today's sponsor is Cloud Accountant Staffing. Every firm owner I talk to is asking the same question right now. Should we hire offshore? I'll tell you what we're doing about it. We've hired offshore before, and we're actively working with Cloud Accountant Staffing right now on a couple of roles at Patrick Accounting. The reason we pick them, they take the fear out of it. Disclosure, security, onboarding someone across the world. They've walked tons of firms through it. Their portal is really easy to use. It lets you browse real candidates that are available to hire right now, book interviews yourself. You can have them vet them for you. They help you with the whole process. So head to cloudaccountantstaffing.com right now. Links in the show notes.
How are you doing, man?
I'm great. I'm looking forward to this conversation. This is one, that I feel like I'm going to be burying my soul a little bit. It's like,
I'm nervous about this one. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully.
We'll see where it goes. One of the, we follow the EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System model. And one of the things that they preach pretty heavily is that any person that gets put into a leadership role, whether that is like on the official leadership team or they just have direct reports, have the responsibility of LMA. And LMA stands for Leadership, Management, and Accountability. EOS talks about if you lead well and you manage well, then you will have accountability. So essentially leadership plus management equals accountability. But the ultimate goal there is to have people that are both developing the people underneath them, they're managing that stuff is getting done or the work is getting done, and they're holding them accountable. And I find that this is one of the most difficult areas of really developing and managing people. It's an area that we have struggled with to some extent over time. And how much do we really focus on that versus getting work done? And there's a lot of tension that comes along the way. We're going to try to uncover some of those things and get them out in the open during today's episode.
It should be fun. When this topic, when we were thinking through and brainstorming the topics, and this is one I want to talk about because I think this is one that probably every firm struggles with. I know this is something we struggle with.
Hope so.
I got it. I mean, if they don't struggle with it, I would love to know how they handle this. We've talked about this before. Learning how to be a leader is different. First you've ever led the organization your size is you promote a new manager. The first time you've ever been a manager leading other people. Getting that right. I think we do a really good job of managing the work we do. Like that problem is not something we that comes, I think, fairly naturally in the production world, but managing the people side of things, I think from the outside looking in, when we talk to firms, they're like, man, your culture's great. And I see all this, you got these awards and, I've talked to your team and everybody's awesome. Like they're really great people. And yet they still struggle, and we all still struggle with some of the same things. Like, I still don't love having a difficult conversation. I still don't like holding people accountable. I still want them to do the thing I want them the way that I want them to do it, the way I would have done it, exactly the right way, because that's the way I would have done it. But that's not how it works. And then also it's I'm friends with these people, or they're friends with their these were former peers and they've been working together for 5 years. These are friends. It's not just coworkers, but most of our people if they're working side by side with somebody, they're friends with them. It's hard to lead and manage your friend and hold them accountable and what are the consequences when they don't do the things that you've asked them to do? It's super hard. Like, hey, I've told you to enter your time 17 times and you're still not doing it. What's the consequence? Am I going to fire you over this? I don't want to
Yeah.
fire you over this. I just want you to do it. Please just do it.
Yeah.
And so, or, hey, did you have the conversation? Oh, yeah, we had it. And then you hear what they actually talked about, and they didn't. They skirted the whole conversation they were supposed to have. And they're like, oh yeah, we had it. It was great. And it's like, well, yeah, was it as did you get it accomplished? Because if it's solved, it's solved, but it's probably not solved. So, at the end of the day, though, I think this is something that we want to be more intentional about. And there's just a hard rub on it. Where do we get the guidance from of how to coach them better? How do we hold them accountable? How do we as leaders hold them accountable to being a better leader? How do we make sure they have all the resources and training and guidance they need and confidence and role playing and all the things they have to do to be better people managers on top of getting all this stuff done? So there's just always these rubs that we go through. And I think this is something that, you know, I'd rate us as a C, maybe. It's better. It's not great. It's not an A or B. And I'd want this to be an A plus. Is where
Yeah.
I'd want this to be. This is where I think this is where the momentum, the hedgehog effect of this would be a play. It would be so much better as an organization if we had that.
Yeah, I've said over the years that, good people solve all problems. And the struggle with that is finding and having good people. And I don't mean that through the lens of, can we get somebody that can come in and do all the work that we do at a very high level? We can do that. We have done that. Our
Yeah.
people here do that every single day, day in and day out. But what I'm talking about when good people solve all problems is it's the ability to do all the work and everything else that comes into the role of being a leader here. Because doing the work and making sure the work is getting done and making sure it's getting done well in our process and it's constantly being improved, all that stuff is part of your task. And if you're a team lead or if you are, a director of operations or, whatever,
If
if you
you're an
have direct
accounting
reports,
manager, if you're a senior, anybody that
you
is
have
working under you,
you have people that are reporting to you and you have a responsibility to serve them well. And that's what we really talk about when we talk about leadership here. It's really a servant position.
servant leadership. Yep,
Your
absolutely.
role is to serve the people below you. And sometimes that means having difficult conversations, telling them difficult things, always through the lens of, I have your best interest at heart and I care most about your long term success, not in the moment. And there's a tension that exists because, or at least I think it's because, what I think is best and what you think is best is not always aligned. How I communicate and how you communicate is not always aligned. What I want to say versus what I do say is not always the same. What I say versus what you hear is not always the same. What I expect and what you think I expect is not always the same. And it's dealing with people.
Your reverend just came out. You were all boom, boom, boom.
Boom,
I
boom,
love
boom.
it.
This or that, this or that. No, but that's where the tension comes in. We're dealing with people, and you have your baggage, your history, your communication style, your personality, and that is not mine. And no two people are alike. And really, what leadership is about having the influence to be able to meld those things and push people in the right direction. And we're talking about doing that, quite frankly, in our world with people we've put into a role because they've had a strong accounting background. And a
Technical.
strong accounting background is generally technical experience, systems focused, repeatable. And that is not how people are.
Yeah.
And it is the tension that exists. And if we can crack this nut and figure this out, then our ceiling increases exponentially.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You said a couple of things. Servant leadership is how I think of it. This is the general at the front of the battle, not the back of the battle. This is the helper's heart. And so we're going to talk about LMA, but it really goes down to, our right people, right seat conversations, which is also an EOS concept. Right people is they live our values and we're holding them accountable to our values. Right seat is do they have to get it, want a capacity to do that seat? That's all great. But one of their roles of GWC is the people management side.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we often intentionally evaluate them in the role that we're asking them to fill with the GWC, that piece of their KRA, their key result area. I think it's they're able to get their production done and they are doing their training. Check the box. They did their training and they did the, client services at a really good level. Great. Okay. That's great. The people management side of their KRA, that GWC is a different GWC a
Yeah.
little bit. And you got to make sure you're evaluating that.
Well, as we've grown, we've always kind of built the next position up. That was
Mhm.
never something, and that maybe, that's a little bit of our fault, is we never started the growth from the lens of what kind of person do I need leading this organization. We've done it kind of not reactively, but more of a proactive reactive, where it's like, all right, we've grown to a point where we need this. What do we want that to be? And out of all of the horses in the stable, I think you're the best one to fit that new role,
Correct.
instead of starting with, I need to train somebody to be in that new role, because we didn't know what that new role was.
Nope.
We didn't anticipate that we would actually need that layer of
It's the
leadership.
same mistake when we hired our first videographer, we're like, we've never hired a videographer before. Here's what I think the role is.
Yeah.
We grew into it. Well, I think through our, director of accounting, let's use that as an example. Not that Kim's not doing a great job. Let's be all clear, but it is hey, you've been here the longest. You know all the technical work. You can onboard everybody. We have 5 managers. We need somebody to kind of help us lead the managers. I can't handle 25 people reporting to me. You can handle whatever. So, hey, Kim, you're the best person for this role. And that was a lot of technical, lot on the accounting competency, probably still learning how to be a people leader.
It was pick your poison, right? I know if I could put you in this role, at least I don't have to worry about this
work's
part
getting
of it.
done for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And then, this is where, I keep going back to, I had a conversation with another firm and it was like, hey, I have an issue with one of my leaders or person I'm trying to grow into leaders of not really living our values. And I'm like, okay, that's a major
Yeah.
major deal. Do you think it's coachable? You think, well, I do. Okay, great. Then this is going to be a long-term battle.
Yeah.
But if you haven't given up that it's coachable to get you there, then you're going to need to be patient and kind and loving and keep putting in the work because it's not going to happen overnight. And it's the same thing we need to do here. I'm like kind of like giving myself my own medicine there. It's like, yeah, you know what we all do? Like we've said this before. This is my first day leading an organization this big. This is your first time leading, the size organization. You're, being an integrator at this size of a firm. Kim is the first time she's really, having to lead people at this level and juggle another role and, bring on an acquisition. And so we're all learning how to be better leaders, and that's okay. We have team leads that are just learning how to be people leaders. They've been people leaders, but it's okay. We need to be more intentional about it. So then rub comes of how do I train and develop them to do it?
Yeah.
And that's where it's super hard.
It is. It's difficult because you have to balance
get all the crap done.
all the stuff that's got to get done with sometimes the stuff that might be more important. And our natural tendency typically has been, let's make sure this stuff gets done.
Yeah, because we can't miss a deadline.
We can't. Yeah. And like that's
Ugh.
it's tough. If I was one of the leaders in the organization here that was responsible for client work, I would get frustrated over that because I know that I can't miss deadlines. And I also feel the tension of I don't have time to do the stuff that maybe I want to do or in some ways could be more important. And
how do I
it's a
create the
struggle.
capacity?
Yeah.
Do I even have the skill set to coach them up well enough? Because if I'm not a great leader and I'm, that's bad teaching bad. So do we have the tools in the toolbox to do the job we need to help them educate them on? How do we hold them accountable? And so, when we did this, we did this conversation of LMA, there's an exercise that we did. I think we did that last year. We've done it the last 2 years during our annual with Scott Smith, our implementer. But it was like, hey, rate yourself and rate others on where you think they are on their L and their M, and that tells us where our gaps are. And that really turned into a 5 dysfunctions of a team, trust.
How much trust do we have? Yeah.
Yeah. And so what we rate as our leadership team is pretty high on the LMA. The next layer down, we haven't done a great job of cascading that. And that's where I feel like we need to spend more time, energy, effort, and also trying to find the rhythms to know what that looks like. In order to be able to have conflict and have conversations and be able to have difficult conversations, you have to have trust. Is it a trust as a two-way street? Is this a trust that if I tell you something, you're going to fire me because I didn't do what I was supposed to do, or you're frustrated, you're not going to tell me? that
Got to build all that stuff over
all
time.
that takes time. And I think that's where I start to look at this a little bit differently. I feel like this is something that we want to improve. Like I want it to be where we're an A plus. Like that's my expectations, that we are the healthiest organization with managing people that we can be, because I think that it is a hedgehog of we're going to be our best when that's the case. And that is leaders developing leaders, and it is being servant leaders. But man, it's super hard.
I find one of the hardest parts is the consistency that's required to be great at this.
Because all the other stuff gets in the way.
Well, and it's how often do I need to call out the little things, right? Like I was listening to the Jocko podcast, and Jocko Willick was talking about in the teams, in the he was a Navy SEAL. There was always the rub of every single time a little thing got broken, and any little rule got broken, it was called out, even though it was a little rule, because that little rule turns into breaking big rules if not gone unchecked, right? And then they gave the analogy of, if you're a restaurant and you're in the back cooking, and at the end of the night you take a hamburger home for yourself. Well, that's just one hamburger. I serve 400 hamburgers that day. What's one hamburger? And nobody says anything. That one hamburger turns into a hamburger every night, and it turns into 2 hamburgers or whatever.
I took a box of hamburgers.
And at the end of the day, and what helped me understand a little bit about this is that one guy taking that one hamburger is not a big deal. Yeah, you're right. It's 1 out of 400. That's not a big deal. But if I don't say anything about it, that person and everybody else on the team may think it's acceptable to take a hamburger. And next thing you know, because it's gone, the little thing that has really little impact has gone unchecked, has now turned into the potential to be a big thing. And now there's always a dichotomy of leadership between like, when is the right time and how do you do that? And do you do it every time? Like there's tension that exists there, but it's helpful. That was helpful for me to understand, like on the little things, like, hey, you didn't enter time today. Every single time I have to go say, hey, you didn't enter time today. If that's going to be something that I care about, and that's one of our things that we actually expect, I have to call out every single time. Otherwise, I'm setting conditions for that's okay, not just for that one person though. And the consistency of going back and saying, hey, Matt, I know that you took that hamburger, and I'm not mad at you for taking that hamburger, but just know that we don't do that here. So let's not do that ever again. Cool. We're good. And if Matt then responds with, whoa, wait a second, that is crazy talk, I'm out of here, then so be it. I'm okay living with that. And also the chance that that's going to be the response I get from Matt are so very small.
It'd probably be, I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I should have done that.
Exactly.
I will do it again.
Yeah. And so we build these cases up in our heads. If I call this out, it's going to turn into something big. Or if I call this out, I'm going to have to follow through all the way to firing, when oftentimes it's, hey, you know what? You're right. I'm not going to do that. Or sometimes, and this is important, sometimes it is, oh, well, Jimmy said that was okay. I didn't know that. Oh, well, now I'm being informed that there might be a bigger issue.
More than one hamburger walking out.
Or there's maybe a miscommunication on my end of what our expectations are. And so I have to be able to navigate those waters really well. But the consistency of every time, the things that we think are little have to be addressed.
And the rub here is, I know that what I feel internally about this is, oh, you're micromanaging me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm managing.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that term. So often people use the term micromanage to really just talk about managing. Managing people is, there is an expectation and we're going to hold you to it. Like that's the accountability piece of management. But management is just, we have an expectation and we're going to actually make sure that we're meeting that expectation. Micromanaging is jumping in to tell you, here's our expectation. Here's exactly how you're going to do every step of the way, and calling you out if you don't follow every step of the way. And micromanagement is different in different organizations. If I work at McDonald's and I'm responsible for the way in which things are getting done, I'm taking the cup, putting it on the machine, waiting for the ice, moving it to the Coke, and they have expectations for every little micro step of the way. Yes, I'm going to be micromanaged, but really in their organization, that's just managed.
Yep.
In our organization, we manage on outcomes. Your outcome is clearly defined. This is what I want you to achieve. And so for me to measure or come in and look at, are we achieving that outcome, is not micromanaging.
It's managing.
If I start to get into, hey, you did it this way, you should have done it that way on small things, that's micromanaging. We very, very rarely do that. And so I think there's a rub there.
What micromanaging, I'll say the symptom of that is generally you're not doing the things, the results aren't the way we would expect them to be. And what they feel is it's micromanaging. And I'm like, but you're still not, I'm not micromanaging how you get it done. You're not getting it done.
Yeah. 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 You said you were going to work on, or you were going to be able to maintain $30,000 of revenue this month. You did $20,000 of revenue. We're going to talk about and figure out why. That is not micromanaging.
That's managing.
That is managing. I'm holding you accountable to the standard of what that we've all agreed to and that has been set. Now, sometimes I do have to get into the weeds with you because maybe there's a capacity issue or you don't understand how to get it done, or maybe you don't have the tool set yet to get it done that way or to achieve that outcome. And I'm going to help coach you along the way. Hey, have you thought about this? What if you did this? Have you tried this? Like those are things that I'm helping you achieve your outcome. That's not micromanaging. It's not micromanaging. Following up with, hey, you said you were going to send that email. Did you send the email? It's not micromanaging. That's follow-up. That's management.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, that's one of those things that when I start to hear that, it's like, cool, let's push time out. Let's talk about because remember, LMA, management is in the expectation. Let's make sure that we're clear on what that means.
Yep.
And that we're not miscommunicating.
For sure. I would also say the other one I think that we are working on is leading by authority versus leading by influence. I still think that's some struggle we have, not intentionally. I don't think it's intentional. I think
this is generational in a lot of ways.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The older
old people like me.
Yeah, old people. I was trying to be a little bit, who cares?
Yeah.
The old folks are much more used to and familiar with positional authority.
Yeah.
I'm your boss, therefore you do what I say. And quite frankly, that rubs the younger crowd the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because, hey, you are my boss. And also I have value and things to add here. And it can be a little bit of a defensive posture there. And you have to learn how to become that.
I would say I feel like my intentionality is probably leading it too much the other way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we have a set of rules here. I want to lead and influence. But at the same time, there's a line there. There is a lead with authority too, in that sometimes it's we got to do this.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm sorry, we got to get done. Or it's here's why we got to get it done. And I'm going to be
situation dictates that
situation for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that is not everybody's motivated the same way. And so your job as the leader is to, I think of it like a coach. I think of it like a ball coach. If you're telling me to go run 25 sprints because you told me to, okay, I'd love to know why, or versus, hey man, we're trying to get in shape right now. I don't think we're quite in the shape we need to be. We're getting in the middle of summertime. Our legs are going to run dry. We need to start getting the extra work in now. Okay. I get it. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's just learning how to lead differently.
And some people, you're exactly right, because people do handle that differently. And over time, you would build trust with that coach to where when your coach says, hey, we're going to run sprints, you don't need the why anymore.
Correct.
Hey, you know what? The things that he's told me over time has worked out for me. I'm going to do what he says. That takes time to build that trust before you're able to come in and just say, we're going to run. It's going to be a sucky day today, guys.
We're going to run all day.
We're going to run all day. Yeah. So let's
okay.
get, it's like, I hate this.
I hate this place.
Yeah. But there's the balance, right? Because there's good and bad at that. Maybe if you do tend to lean, if you do tend to lean more towards, I need very clear expectations and pathway and why and all the things, you also have to understand that that leader doesn't always have the time to give you that.
Correct.
Because they have 84 other things they got to get to. Hey, we're going to do this today. This is how I need it done. Go. They don't have the time to sit down and say, well, this is what's happening behind the scenes and why I need it from you right now. And all this stuff. It's like, I need it by 12. So there's times in which I have to pull that card, but also there's times in which I have to say, hey, Matt, this is what's going on. This is why this is important. Can I count on you to get it done?
So I I think this is something that I want to figure out. Like, I want to figure out how to get it more embedded into our rhythms. I do think through the EOS lens here when it comes to, um, seeing where our gaps are. I think part of the challenge is, part of your LMA is making sure you're aligning everybody to your purpose and your vision, getting values are right. So it's all kind of it all lends itself one to another. But at the same time, if they don't agree with your purpose,
It's hard to get over that one.
it's hard to lead you in the right direction. If I don't,
If they don't have the same values.
they don't have the same values and they don't have the capacity. So that right person, right seat is a big piece of this. I do want us to figure this out. I don't have it figured out. I think this is something we want to be a lot more intentional than we are on. If somebody does know a good meeting rhythm, we'd love to know what it is.
Yeah. Any good training, all the things. Yeah.
Yeah. And we spent money outside training and it becomes, well, it's not exactly our training. We should have probably done that in-house, but they did a good job of kind of base setting. We do invest in coaching. We do invest in, them learning how to be leaders. And we big advocates of reading. And I think that's part of the intentionality, but it doesn't create the consistency probably that I'd want to have.
And even those things, we have to, internally, we are responsible for implementing those things.
Correct.
We got to put them into practice.
We have to lead that part.
Yeah.
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 All right, Mike.
Let's just
what's our commitment?
Snap our fingers and everything
Mike?
Works, right?
What's our commitment? We talked about doing a book, getting our book club back going again.
Well, my one thing commitment that I've done a really poor job on this year so far is to make the leadership training piece of our team more intentional. And I have not done a great job of that so far this year.
Call you out, Mike.
I gotta get back on that.
Let's do it.
That's
top of your list
is to actually do the thing that I committed to doing in January.
You know what? That's the same as like your New Year's resolution. You did it. You fell off the wagon. It's time to get back on the wagon. Today is
one step better. Day one. Yeah, one step better.
One step better.
Yeah, there you go. So next week in the comments, you should ask me, hey, what do we do to influence our team from a leadership perspective?
Yep.
And hopefully I'll have a good answer for you. Don't do that next week because I'm actually going to be out of town all next week.
No, Mike. Hey man,
so
that's
I got to do it before. I got to do it now.
Mike.
I got to do it now.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So good stuff. I agree with you, Matt. This is man, the potential, if we can get this stuff right, the potential in our organization changes dramatically. And if we don't really button down and figure it out, then we're just going to flounder.
I think just another little quick aside before we wrap this up. I think a lot of our own internal frustrations with speed and how things are handled and meetings and how people interact stem from this.
Yeah.
And so like it has a massive trickle down effect of efficiencies and, culture and happiness at work but also being able to best support our clients, which is end of the day is what we're here for.
Yeah.
So
good stuff. Well, thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. As always, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. If you have suggestions on how we can do this better, I would love to hear it personally. And so reach out, let us know, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great day.